Hello, hello. I'm just trying to get you guys to come up. Okay. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Loretta. You like my hat? Didn't it come out cute? I am so happy with it. And it was so fun and easy to do. And I'll be wearing it when I go up to the cabin this weekend and going to be doing some thrift store shopping, and it's girl time. Hi, Mary. And now I have a really cool hat to wear while I'm up there. And I don't know if you can see, but I've got my star shirt on. Hi, Mickey. So I'll take my hat off. I just had to put it on for you guys. I thought it turned out really fun. I really like it. Now I have hat hair. Oh, I see Mary. Oh, Mary, I'm looking so forward to it. So, I see Mary. My bestie girlfriends are going to be up there. One of them wasn't able to make it this year, and I feel sad about that, but we're going to have a good time, and I'm looking forward to it. So I posted a picture of the book I wanted to decoupage. I had mentioned that I did 3 days of one-on-one classes with people at Pinners in April. And the picture that I posted was a book that one of the gals did, and I just loved how that turned out. Oh, Mary, you're so sweet. Yeah, go USA. USA, you're right. So what I posted in there was a book. I didn't do it. It was one of the gals that was taking a class from me. She did it. And it was one of my favorite books. I mean, I saw some really gorgeous books created. And when you just give somebody the tools to create and then let them use their own ideas and their own inspirations to create, it's really cool. And I really enjoyed those 3 days of sitting there with all of those ladies and watching them come up with really great ideas and inspiration. But this one is one of my favorites. And so this is the tissue. That book was actually done with 2 different tissues. So she used this design here, and then she used a different one on the back side, but I don't have that tissue in stock. So I'm going to use this design on the front, and then where it says sunflowers across the top here, that's going to be on the book binder. And then I'll probably use this sunflower here on the back. But there's some really pretty choices. These birds are really pretty. There's another really pretty sunflower here that I really like. And cows. This is a nice sheet for doing crafting with. So, and I did post this this tissue in the description if you are interested, or there's like literally hundreds others that you can choose from. So and I love the books, I really do, because I did a book a couple of months ago with my granddaughter with the bird on the wire tissue, and she loved it. And she is going into the 4th grade this year, and 2 years in a row she's gotten Artist of the Year for her class grade. Makes Grammy so proud. And we decoupaged a book, and she's just now getting into journaling, and so these books make a great journal. And just a little FYI, you can do your artwork over the pages just like this. I love doing artwork on print, and as you've noticed, a lot of my decoupage tissues have that. But if you want a blank page, if you use the Dixie Belle drop cloth. That is the exact same page color. And so you can just paint over the lettering and then do your writing into a journal book. So I just think doing books are so much fun. They're pretty on your coffee table. They make a nice gift to somebody. They're nice for a shelf sitter. I have some sitting on a window shelf that I made several years ago in my guest bedroom. So I just love doing the books. So that's what we're gonna do today. So let me put the camera down. So the first thing I wanna do is I wanna be sure that I reserve the sunflower where it spells out sunflower there. But I wanna get this sunflower on the book. So I'm going to take my scissors, and normally I tell you guys to use a brush and wet it and tear your paper that way. But on this particular project, it's just easier just to cut it, because we aren't blending this into anything. That's the reason. So I still gotta pack up my stuff to go up to the cabin, and we're gonna do, we always do, us girls, when we get together, we always do a craft project. And our craft project this year is something none of us have ever done before. So, and it's, I don't know if I can say it right, it's Cyan crypto. I don't know what it is. Now I'm just making up words. It's when you paint on your substrate, which could be fabric. I'm going to do a shirt, and I'm also going to do some tea towels. But you paint on this chemical solution, and then you lay things on top of it. For instance, you know, tree leaves and flowers and things like that, but you can lay all kinds of things on it. And then you shield that from any sunlight, and then you carry it out into the sunlight, and then let the sun react with the chemical that you painted onto it, and it turns into the most beautiful blue. And it can be different shades of the blue, but it's all like in the denim family. And so that's the project that we're going to work on this weekend while we're up at the cabin. And we're going thrift storing, and we might eat out a couple of times. All right, I want to be sure that I leave the sunflower here. And I don't care if I cut off a little piece of the tip of that sunflower. It's not going to make any difference. Set that aside. This is the front of my book, and I prepped it by painting it white first. That way your decoupage tissue goes through really nicely. And I just realized I forgot to bring in my satin top coat. Talk amongst yourselves, I'll be right back. This is what happens when you do artwork all over the entire house. You end up with product in different places. Okay, so I just want to, I'm doing this upside down for you guys, but I just want to get this positioned. That sunflower fits really nice on here. So I'm gonna leave this here, I'll cut it off, and I have just a little bit overlapping here, and just a little bit overlapping there, and a little bit extra there. But I don't want to scoot it I don't want to scoot it too much. I'm going to leave it just like that. So when I decoupage, and this is how I like to teach decoupage, is I like to do it a section at a time. Then you don't end up with wrinkles and you have complete control over what you're doing. So that's why I teach it this way. This might be too old, but let's see. Yes, Mickey, he's going with me. Oh, I'll post some pictures. I might even post some short videos. I wish you all could come with. I really do. Thanks, Molly. I had the hat on when I first came on. Did you see the hat? If you didn't, I have it right here. I can always pop it right back on. It turned out super cute. And it was fast and easy to do. And I just ordered it off of Amazon when they had their Prime, whatever they call it, their Prime Day. So I'm just putting down like an inch here. And this is just Dixie Belle Satin Top Coat. And I prefer to use this. I don't recommend people using Mod Podge because you've heard me say it 100 times. It is not archivable. And so after years, it's going to turn yellow and get cracks in it and not be pretty anymore. So I'm going to peel this back. And I'm going to offload, not underneath where my fold is, but just in front of the fold, and put on another coat an inch or two wide. And then when I've offloaded up here, then I'm going to creep up and put some down on that fold. That way I don't end up with a big glob of it underneath that fold. That's the reason. And because I put down this anchor row, that first row, now I know that my paper is going to go down evenly the rest of the way. So it's super easy to do it on a book like this. So if you haven't done decoupaging, doing a book is a really good project to start with. But if you're doing a full sheet, you know, because my decoupage tissues are 29 by 21 inches. They're big. And so if you're doing a big sheet, and you've seen me do that with Christmas projects, you need to have a way to control that paper so that it goes down straight. Like when I did the picture of the steampunk parrot, which was maybe 6 weeks, 2 months ago, in that range, that whole piece went down. And you just want to have a method of doing it so that you don't get any wrinkles and you get it down straight. Getting it down straight is super important. And I'm using saran wrap. You can use a Ziploc bag because there's a lot of texture in your fingertips, and fingertips will tear your wet paper. So you just want, and I've been using that piece of saran wrap. I just tuck it in my brush holder here. But you can see how easy this is and how fun it is. And I've done lots of books. Sometimes I will make, using the molds, I'll make a really pretty binder for it. And, but one of the things I loved about this particular design and this particular book was I loved that the words sunflower were on the binder. And I just love sunflowers. I was born in Kansas. I was born in Wichita, but I spent a lot of my early childhood out on the farm with my grandparents. They were farmers, wheat farmers, and sunflowers are the state flower for Kansas, and they grow wild. Now they're a cash crop. They weren't a cash crop when I was a kid, but they are a cash crop now. And I just love sunflowers. I just think they're such beautiful flowers. So I actually have quite a few different decoupage tissues that have sunflowers on it because I just can't resist it. Then we're down here at our end. And like I said, I did this with my granddaughter a couple of months ago. She has a beautiful journal book now. So this is a project you can do with your grandkids. Boys as well as girls. Okay, so let me turn it back around. It's looking pretty already. So even though I'm going to put sunflowers on top here, I'm thinking, let me get rid of this part here. The bottoms here are perfect. This is a little bit much. So I'm going to trim it down just a bit. And I'll look at your comments here in just a second. I get busy doing what I'm doing and chattering away and forget to check the comments. Okay, Molly, I'll put it on for you. Okay, gotta put the camera back up. Ta-da! Okay, isn't it cute? And I love it being painted on the underside as well as on the top. And I have my star shirt on. You would think it was 4th of July, right? It's just the little things in life. And I've been thinking about this hat for a couple of months. And I just really wanted it. I can't even tell you why I wanted it so much. And so then it just occurred to me, just order a white hat and paint it the way you want. And there's all kinds of different ways you could paint it. I've seen some that had smaller stars, some that just half of the brim was painted in the blue and the stripes were going this way. I mean, there's just all kinds of fun things you can do with these hats. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. And I hope some of you are inspired to do a hat of your own. I love it. And I'm quite a patriotic person to begin with, so it's right up my alley. So now I'm just going to put a thin line and just fold my pages over so we have a nice clean fold here. And I do hope you guys will do a book. I really do. And there's, you know, there's non-occasion, like this isn't an occasion, but they're really pretty with Christmas papers. They would make, I know Mother's Day is here and gone, but what a nice Mother's Day gift. And like I said, they make great journal books. So if you have any friends or family that like to journal, these are beautiful books. And you can pick them up so cheap at the Goodwill. And sometimes a lot of people just give them away. When I was gathering books, in fact, it was my daughter that found somebody that had hundreds of books. And they just gave them to her. And I needed them for pinners when I did pinners here in Arizona, because that was one of the classes I was teaching. I taught 300 people at one time how to decoupage books. Pinners is no joke, you guys. This could have been just a wee bit longer, but it's going to work. Okay, that looks good. So now we've got the front of our book done, and you can see how fast and easy that is to do. Now I want to add the word sunflower going down, and I'm going to leave this piece on, and I'm just going to cut out the word sunflowers and decoupage it on top of this. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to, there's a different pattern that starts right here. I'm going to go ahead and trim that pattern off. And whatever paper you're working with, just take it one step at a time as you're going along, and you can assess and make choices and decisions as you're going along. There isn't a right or a wrong. You're basically like doing a collage on a book. And this is a good way to use up scraps of decoupage paper. Okay, so now we're going to put down that binder. I'm going to turn it around so you get to see the pretty part. You could sand them off. Mickey, there's no reason why you couldn't sand them off. When I'm doing the books, for some reason, I like to just have that whole thing one piece. But there isn't, you could sand it right off. There's no reason you couldn't. I just think it's personal preference. Hi, Debbie. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, and then I'm going to just start in the middle and go one direction and smooth it all out. and then come back and go the other direction. And we have 0 wrinkles on here. And then I'm going to leave this piece on here that's just overlapping just in the fold of the book. But I may need it to be there when I put my design on the other side. So I'm just going to leave it there. I can always decoupage on top of it. Okay, so we've got that much done. And now we need to come up with our other half, the back half. And I want to be sure this is the top of the book, so my design needs to go this way. And I think, which design do you guys think I should use? This sunflower on the back, which is really pretty. It's a really faint checker pattern. I don't know if you can see it, but it has a really faint little checker pattern on it. Or there's another sunflower. Or this sunflower on the back. So number 1 or number 2. Type in number 1 or number 2, whichever. This is number 2. I'm not seeing any response. Nikki, you said number 1. Robin says number 1. Okay, let me show number 1 again. Number 1 is this one, and it has the bees and a dragonfly and says sunshine, has a sunflower, and it has this really faint checker pattern in it. This is number 1, Mary, and this is number 2. So number 1 says sunshine, bee, dragonfly. This is really pretty, a really pretty font, and the sunflower. And I really like this checkered, this really faint checker background on it. And this is number 2. Okay, it looks like most of you are saying number 1, and I love number 1, so I'm right there with you guys. Cool. This is going to be a beautiful book. So again, you know, most of the time when I show you guys how to decoupage, I'm using a wet brush, but this time I am going to just cut because I do want to have straight edges on this piece, and this just makes it easy. And I don't know if you noticed on here, but there are smaller pieces on here that you can use on your art journals too. It says garden journal with little sunflowers. I love this one with the little flower pots on it, and it says fresh flowers. And then sunshine. So I added all kinds of other little touches that you can use. So again, this is the top. So this is going to be the top of the back. And it's a good thing I left a little up here on the top. And I'm going to go ahead and trim all of this off over here because we've got that other pretty paper on the binder. So you can see how each book would be different. And it also depends on the size of the book. So I have several boxes of books out in my garage. And so I knew for this project I was going to need a larger book. So keep that in mind too. And I think I want to scoot it over just like that. Okay, so I'm going to turn it back around so you guys aren't watching upside down. I'm glad you all chose number 1. That's pretty cool. So again, I'm going to just put down my anchor row. And starting in the middle, and then just working my way out each direction. And so now I know that my paper is going to go down perfectly straight. And I can just lift it up and offload away from the crease. And then just work your way up to the crease. And remember, you guys, this had a blue cover on it, a pale blue, and it's important to paint your book white so that all the design on your decoupage tissue pops out. So this is a good example with this really faint checkerboard on here. If there was color underneath here, it would be competing against that. And you might miss seeing that there's that really faint little checkerboard on there. And you would still see some of that other color coming through. So I did base coat this before we went live, and it had plenty of time to dry. And you can use whatever chalk paint you have in your supply list, but I had a jar of the satin silk paint right here on my work table, so that's what I used, and I only needed 1 coat to cover it. Mickey, that's a great question. No, there's no difference. So Dixie Belle has flat, high gloss, and satin top coat. And you can use any of those three to do any of your decoupage. And just like when you put it on your furniture, that it gives you a protective finish on your furniture and it's the desired sheen that you want, you can do the same with your decoupage. So if you have a project that you want flat, that you don't want a satin on, go ahead and use the flat. If you have a project that you want to have a high gloss when you're finished with it, then do your decoupage with the high gloss. So that was a great question. Just like this is what you put over your paint when you're painting furniture and you're getting down to your final coat, this is what you use to protect your paint job and to add a finish to it. So it makes sense that it works so nicely for decoupage. And if you've already got it in your stash, then that's even a more bonus. You don't have to go buy another product. And I know, you guys, I watch all the videos too, and I see people still using Mod Podge, and people that I really love and admire still using it. And I tell you, I cringe every time I see them doing it. It's like, no, you really shouldn't be doing that. But to each his own, right? This is so pretty. If I say so myself, you guys, this is so pretty. Okay, I am going to just take my scissors and do a little trim there. I have the cutest little scissors. I picked these up at the Pinners also. Aren't they just beautiful? They're just great for fussy cutting. It's the little things. I just had to have these little itty bitty scissors. And truthfully, this particular edge would have been just fine to have it cut with a wet brush. Okay, that's good enough. And I'm going to put a little dab of medium right across there. And then just smooth it down. And it just blends right in. Okay. Isn't that pretty? So for our finishing touch, I want the word sunflower going down the binder of the book. see. I want to be sure I get it straight. I do sell these flexible rulers. I have two kinds. I have a thicker one, and then I have the clear through, see-through, and I use them both all the time. I have a ruler in every room of the house. And I'm just going to take a pencil and lightly mark it. And frankly, on this piece, you could have cut it with the water and brush, and on this section, it would have looked nice. Okay, and I'm probably not gonna need the whole length. So that's my front. If the book's on a coffee table, it's going to be, so this needs to go like this, because this is my front. And if I did it the other way and it was sitting on the coffee table, it would be upside down. So think about that. And not everything would have a word that you want to put on it like this. And I just want to get it centered on here. I'm going to stand up. That looks pretty centered. Mary, you could. I won't on this, but you certainly could. If that's the finish that you would prefer to have on here, then that's what you should do. And see, even though I'm decoupaging on top of paper that's already there, because it's all in the same color family, it just all blends in really nice. And if we happen to see a little bit of the writing or the print coming through, that doesn't bother me at all on this piece. I might not want that to happen on a different design, but on this design, it just all really blends and works together. So you would need to consider that. On each individual project. And I said at the beginning of this video too, that if you're using this as a journal, the Dixie Belle drop cloth, the color drop cloth, is a perfect match to the pages of the book. And so you can paint over if you don't want the print to show. And I love the print, but I don't always want the print. Like for instance, if I want to write something in my journal, I don't want to write over the print. Now, I could sand this off, or I can just roll it and paint it under, or decoupage it under. And on this particular one, I think the reason why I like to fold it over is because you have, on all of these books, you have an edge that shows. And I kind of like just folding it over and covering that edge, but that's just personal preference. There isn't a right or a wrong way to do that. And then there's not a whole lot of a lip here, but what little bit there is, I'm just going to tack it down. And then same thing down here. And there we go. So we're not done, but this is the front of our book. This is the binder of our book. And here is the back of our book. Don't you just love the sunflowers on the binder? I just love, love, love that. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, this has got a little bit of dampness there, so I'm going to hit it with a hair dryer real quick. Nikki, you could crackle. If you were using the pin tart crackle, you sure could. In fact, I have a book that I did crackle. Let me just go grab you the one that I crackled. Hold on. I really love this book. So this was a book I did about a year ago. And this is Decoupage. This is one of my tissues. And then I used a mold and did a binder on it with the mold. And then I used gold and did a Harlequin print, because you guys know how much I love Harlequin, on the back of the book. And it has the crackle. So, and this is the pin tart crackle that I used. And I love, love, love that two-step pin tart. And I've done it on Christmas books, like on that shelf that I have in my guest bedroom. It's a shelf that I made. It was an old window. And then I put corbels on each end of it and built a shelf and attached it, and then hung it on the wall in there. And so And it's got pretty handles on it to hang, you know, jewelry and things off of. It's a really pretty piece. It's one of my favorite pieces. And on the top of that shelf, these books that I've done over the last couple of years on my lives, then I just have them up there on display. And some have the front showing on them, like this one, but there's a whole stack of them that just have this really pretty binder. And I always try to do a different color. There's Christmas books. This was an Easter book. I just think the books are so much fun, and you can be very creative and artistic. And this one has gold pages too, where I'm not going to paint my pages on this book, because this book to me looks like it belongs in a country house. This reminds me of my grandma's farmhouse. This book reminds me of my mom's house, which was very fancy. But I love having the gold pages on it. It's just, you can just have a lot of fun with these books, and it's inexpensive to do. And most of the time you can just use products that you already have on hand. I do not sell pin art, but it's one of my favorite crackles. I love crackle, crackle, crackle. I'm a crackle girl. And I love the pin art crackle, but there are lots of retailers out there that sell the pin art. So, okay, so I do want to just get this slightly dry. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a protective coat over it. Thanks for the hearts. Oh, Mickey, you remember me doing that book? So I'm just going to take some more of my satin top coat here, and I'm just going to put a coat, and this is going to protect the finish. It's going to protect the paper. So when you dust and clean, anything that would otherwise stain or ruin the book is now protected, just like you do on a piece of furniture. Okay, and I want to give that a quick dry. I appreciate that a lot, because I know a lot of other creators do work a lot faster than I do. And I've just never been that way. For one thing, I just enjoy the process. Now, just by putting that coat of top coat on there, I don't know if you could tell, but it really, really made that paper look really rich. It kind of deepened the color on it a little bit, and it just looks really rich. And I'm putting the top coat on for two reasons. First of all, it's a protector, and so when you're dusting, or if anything should get spilled on it, like if you have it on a coffee table and something gets splattered or spilled on it, it's going to wipe off. But the other reason is I'm going to take a little bit of brown wax and just do a little bit of shading on it. And before I do that, I need to have this top coat on here. And I want to do the same on the other side, but I don't want to lay this down. Let me see what I can... like to squirt my top coat into these little garnish cups. I get them off of Amazon. In fact, I just ordered a bunch more when they had their Prime days. Then, if I don't use it all on that day's project, I just pop a lid on it. Now, this is not wrinkling up on me, but sometimes when you go and put product over the top of the paper, sometimes you'll see a wrinkle here and there. If that happens to you, do not be concerned, because paper has elasticity, and when it gets wet, it will wrinkle up, but when it dries, it lays back down. So if that was to happen when you were doing this process, don't be concerned. Right now, we have no wrinkles anywhere. I have to say, I did a good job. And I need just a squirt more. So pretty. Okay, I'm going to show you one more thing, and I'm really pushing it. Typically, I would say wait till your book is really dried well. So I'm not going to do a lot, but I do want to just show you this because I just think it's a pretty finish for this type of book. I wouldn't do it on like the lamb book that I just showed you, but I mean, there's different finishes for different looks. So, and this is Dixie Belle brown wax, and this is the 10 ounce. It comes in a 4 ounce. And so if you don't do a lot of waxing, I actually do, but I mean, it lasts a long time. So if you wanted to give it a try, you could order the 4 ounce size. And I like to use the Dixie Belle French tip brush. And these I think are only $10, I think. And I love these brushes because I love the tip on them. And so I'm just going to dip a little bit. I know it's hard to tell because there's already so much brown, and it washes out really well. The wax is, an important note about this wax is it's water-based, where all the other wax products on the market are oil-based, which if you're doing a furniture piece, that can make your life an absolute nightmare. Because if you're doing a furniture piece, you got to get that wax off of there, which means you have to use mineral spirits and do a lot of sanding to get that wax off. This is water-based, and so this is just like your paint. So I can paint right over this wax. So if I do a piece of furniture and I don't like how it turns out and I've waxed it, I can just go back and paint right over it, and it's not going to cause any damage or heartburn. But I'm just going to take this brush and just kind of like smudge. I want to be sure you can see this. All right, I've done this much of it right here. So can you see the difference here from here? This is much lighter. And it is picking up the detail on the binder underneath it. And you see, I haven't had to re-dip. And I can just go around my edges of my book like this. And you know how the edges of things get dark over time? Just gonna dip in it just a tad bit. I just want to do this corner over here because corners and edges are the ones that always show time. And I don't want to say show dirt or wear and tear, but things do age over time, and it's always the edges and the corners of things that show time. And like I said, under normal circumstances, I would just let this dry until tomorrow, but I just wanted to show you guys what a pretty effect this is. And the waxes come in white, they come in clear, they come in black, they come in brown, and I think there's a gray. Love that. Love, love, love. Sherry, it's one of my favorite brushes. It does. It's just a subtle touch. It's not, when you would look at it, it's not something you would go, oh, she waxed it. But it does make a difference on the finish. And see, this is why I didn't want to do it, because even though it's dry enough to the touch, I can still feel the satin top coat is a little bit tacky. So I would really recommend you not push things like what I'm doing, and you let them dry properly. It's so funny, you know, some projects that I work on, I'm like, oh, that turned out nice, or that's okay. And then there are some things that I work on and I just love them. And my hat is a love. I love how my hat turned out. And I've never painted a hat before. And I love how this book, because this book is the design on here is my aesthetic. I only lived on a farm for the first 5 years of my life, so it wasn't a long time, but I really think it's in my DNA. Okay, so this is done. Done, done, done. We got a whole project done in one live. That doesn't happen very often. And I don't want to lay it back down again because I want the air to get to it and dry, but I love it. Love, love, love. Mary, I have one more coat of black to put on it, and then I'm going to try using, I'm going to bring the camera back up. This is the front. And this is the binder. There. And this is the back. And we got this done in 1 hour and 10 minutes. It's all done. It just needs to have a thorough drying at this point. Tissue is either number 97, Sunflower Cow, Oh My. That's it. Number 97, Sunflowers Cow, Oh My. That's the tissue, and it's available on both Pinterest and my website. And the link is up in the description. But I should say, you guys, I appreciate every one of you that order from me. I really do. This is how I support myself. So I really appreciate it. Every morning when I get up, I have sales to pack up and send out. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. But if you're just ordering tissue and no paint or anything else, I recommend that you order it off of my Etsy site because the shipping is less. The shipping on Etsy is based on the weight of what you're purchasing. If you're ordering off of my website, because I sell all kinds of products on my website, then it's a flat rate charge on the website. So if you order, you know, an 8-pound package, you're only getting charged for, I think it's a 3-pound weight. But it's still $10. Well, if you're ordering 1 tissue or 2 tissues, then you're getting charged too much for the weight of your tissue. So I hope that makes sense. If you're only going to place an order for tissue, then go to the Etsy. I have the majority of my tissues are on Etsy. But if you're ordering paint and, you know, like one of the wood cutouts or decoupage tissue, then go ahead and do it on the website because you'll get a better deal with the shipping there. Hope that makes sense. But regardless, I appreciate it so much. And Mickey, your package went out this morning. I don't know if you got an email, but your package went out this morning. And thank you, thank you. I appreciate you guys very much. So that's it. Sherry, you're going to have to go back and watch the replay. And it's a pretty good video if I say so myself. And Sherry, you missed my hat. I got my hat finished. There we go. Woohoo! This was yesterday's live. Isn't that cute? I love it. Okay, you guys, thanks so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good evening. I will not be live next week because I'll be up at the cabin wearing my hat, shopping in the wonderful thrift stores that are up in Heber Overgaard and Sholo and Pine Top, and doing an experimental thing that I can't even pronounce the chemical word for, but I'll show you guys. So you guys have a great evening and thanks so much. Bye.